Hi. I decided I was going to just do a little test, a little trial, a little something to figure out what I'm gonna do. First of all, let's address a couple things. First of all, I keep looking at the viewfinder and not the actual lens. So, yeah. Second, you're also behind a TV that's not actively on, but there is a screen behind it. So there is a screen thingy behind it. So if you do see it flipping colors and my face is changing colors, that's this is a book haul. Books that I have had in my collection for a very long time that I have not started reading. If I have read it, it's just I haven't finished. It just hasn't been something that's been like, ooh, I'm gonna finish this book. No, hasn't been priority. First book, Alone with You in Ether. Alone with You in the Ether. I don't even know what that means. I remember trying to read this book back in literal high school. I was depressed. I don't even remember the plot, but I remember struggling. I did get through like maybe half of it, so I'm like, here, this is apparently where I stopped. But I got through half of it before I started reading another book, and I did put this on my DNF list. Is it still on my DNF list? Yeah. Just haven't finished it. Maybe it's because I'm thinking like, when I first started reading, which was my junior year of high school, I was actually getting into books that were a little bit more young adult, which is a lot easier, which I also figured out yesterday, the difference between young adult and adult, because a young adult is trying to figure out who they are, and adult is already figured it out. I didn't know that. I was like, oh. I was like, why can't I get this done? That's why I like reading young adults, because young adults are like, you're figuring out where you're at. And then when you're an adult, it's like, girl, you should already know. When you're reading young adult, it's mainly like character building things. And when you're reading adult, it's character building things, but it's not as present as it would normally be. Also, common thing in young adult, there's no sex in young adult, except maybe like one sex scene. When you're reading adult, they be doing it every other. Low-key was not ready for that. I did read the trigger warnings though, so it's okay. Okay, second book, American Psycho. Babes, I got a warning. I actually got a warning from someone and that told me not to read this book. They said don't read it and don't watch the movie. I said why? I was like, why? Is it that bad? They were like, the book, bad. The movie, bad. And I was like, okay, this is coming from someone who hasn't watched crime or is not a crime like watcher consistently. So I was definitely like, I'm gonna trust your opinion, but at the same time, this is American Psycho. If you haven't seen the movie with Patrick Bateman, who's the main character? Matthew McConaughey. I just said Matthew McConaughey. Matthew McConaughey. Ooh, wait, I can't even say Matthew on her. I'm almost there. Matthew McConaughey. Christian Bale. I wasn't even close. I was just naming two white men. Trying to figure out the name of the book. Christian Bale did an amazing job in it. Made me feel a little like, wow, this is so crazy. It was genuinely a good freaking movie. Yeah, I wanted to read the book. Also, I heard from a rumor that they were gonna do an adaptation of this, but with a girl. If they decide to do that with a girl, like with a lady as the protagonist, that will make things a lot more interesting, and it will be interesting how they decide to portray what happens. from a girl's perspective or from a woman's perspective, because from a man's perspective, you know, it makes a lot more sense. Sometimes in Hollywood, especially, people are not completely ready or used to seeing men replace women roles. Women replace men roles. That's what I meant to say. So that will be very interesting to see. Very interesting to see. Okay. I heard this was depressing as well. In fact, I was supposed to read this book for a class and COVID hit. I actually got this. I got this like years ago, and I think it was something based off of my astrology. Someone made a TikTok about astrology, about like the whole movement of like the stars and stuff, and was like, you would like this book based off, I'm a Virgo, so like you would like this book based off of if you're a Virgo. And I was like, sure, okay. Did I end up reading it? No, I haven't read it yet, but it seems like it's gonna be an insane book. Also, people were saying to read this a little bit more recently just due to the political climate of the world. And it says, war is peace, freedom is slavery, and the big brother is always watching. You gotta see how similar that might be. Yeah. After I finished the book that's behind me, actually, I ordered 2 different books. That's why I'm reading from my Amazon order right now. Okay. I bought this book again years ago, and I bought it because the cover. Are you kidding? Like, I was like, I want to advertise this. This is Barnes and Nobles, okay? Do I support Barnes and Nobles? Not at all, because why are books $20 when I can get them off of Amazon for $8? You see that? Coolest cover I've ever seen in my life. I was also supposed to read this, and I was actually supposed to read it for a class that I took during COVID. I never ended up actually reading it because I just decided not to. Because, you know, COVID hit, and I was like, why am I reading a book I don't care about? Why am I reading a book I don't care about? But actually, someone told me something about this book, and I was forever sold from that day. Super duper interesting. Seems like a lot of these books seem like they don't really have a theme, but they don't really have a theme. That's kind of my book reading style at the moment. Okay, and then I have this other book, which is a little bit of a self-help book, which I know is talked down about in the book talk community because people are like, why are you reading a self-help book? Just go to therapy. Okay, yeah. This one is a highly sensitive person in love. I wouldn't even say I'm in love. For real, like that. I wouldn't even say I've ever been in love. But I am curious. And some of the things seem kind of interesting. And as someone who does have ADHD, actually ADD, let me correct you. I believe I'm a sensitive person. And a sensitive person in love. That's kind of how I viewed it. I did see this on Pinterest and was like, let me drop. So, yeah. It seems interesting so far. It's a lot of words, so I'm gonna take a break. It's just a lot. Like, it just seems like a lot. I think about self-help books, and I think about reading. I think of, what's that one book that I love? But if you read it, I didn't read the trigger warnings when I first read it. It's trauma. Something with trauma. There's a blue cover. Might put the title of the book is right here. Okay? Title of the book is right here. The picture of the book is right here, essentially. I literally love that book, but there's some books out there that you have to read the trigger warning. And this is one of those books that you read the trigger warning. As someone who is not like, I'm not sensitive to everything. So like sometimes people will be like, oh, read the trigger warning, and I'm like, haha, buddy, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm fine. Like, I will be okay. This is one of those books that you actually have to read the trigger warning and actually think about how much can you take, because what are you talking about? It's crazy up in here. It literally is so insane sometimes, where I'm like, wow, I didn't even know. Like, it was a great book though. As someone who is a psychology major, they ate with that. I said, okay, this is so interesting. But I was also like, I am kind of traumatized by the book. Okay, that's literally it. That's all the books that I have for y'all.